mean, after all, sales is much more important than marketing, isn't it?
Lovely transition.
Bravo. I'm turning
if business
into a
is measured as...
Well, yeah, exactly.
Business is measured as 100, mate. What?
Let's start with that. I mean, Gary Halbert, paraphrasing Gary Halbert, if we measure success in business as 100, then 99.9 of that success is actually fucking selling something. I mean, that's where I start all my sales presentations, as in teaching, training, sales, not selling to people. Even though it does have a place there, but any lessons I've got to share about selling start with that premise, and it's true. We see it's almost a cliche, isn't it? Freelancer opens up business, reels off a whole list of things they've paid for: branding, websites, website copy, headshots. Okay, it's all great stuff, and it may even be stuff that needs to be done at some point, but it's not really what you should be focusing on. All you need is possibly a website, but some way to collect people's details, maybe something for them to look at to see who you are, and a phone or an email account, and an ability to sell. You can get clients. And that's what you really need.
It's that simple.
If you ain't got clients, you haven't got a business. You've got a wish or a hope or a dream.
Well, business can't happen till a sale is made and cash has been exchanged.
No, that's the whole point. And you don't need any of that stuff to make
it's not
sale.
Business.
Right? So most businesses, they have I think, and why do they do it? I mean, most businesses have a very distorted view of selling, very distorted sense of it. They think he's icky and by definition pushy. Now let's be clear about this. There are icky ways and pushy ways to sell. You've only got to read some of the selling books from the fucking 1970s to see that. And yeah, I'll be the first one to admit they are a very high pressure, unpleasant, exhausting and unsatisfactory way to sell for anyone, including the buyer and both buyer and the seller. But what people do is, because that's how most people understand selling, they think that represents the whole of selling. Therefore, by definition, selling is icky and pushy. Well, it isn't. We had a guy on the phone the other day. He hasn't got the funding through yet, but he expects to. But he agreed if he gets the money, he will pay us $55,000 for a year's work. Well, at the end of the call, he said, "I've really enjoyed this little chat." I mean, he wouldn't have said that if I'd been pushy and felt uncomfortable.
Sales is merely just aiding the decision-making process, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Asking the right questions, making sure.
Yeah. This is a point I made to someone
making sure they're armed with the correct information.
I made the point, and it was profound to him because it changed his view of the whole thing. I said, my job on a sales call is not to sell anyone anything. My job on a sales call, and maybe it's a misnomer to call it that, but my job on a sales call is to help the person in front of me come to the right decision for them. Now, if that then is a match with what we can help them with, then fine, I will ask for their permission to sell it to them, and then ask them if they want to buy it or not. It's that simple. It's resistance-free. It's frictionless. It's effortless. And like that guy said, it's like a chat, a friendly chat. I don't even do most of the talking. They do.
Yeah. It's one of the problems if you've got a sales team that you run into with commissions, because obviously all of their money is dependent on collecting money, which is in direct contradiction to what sales is, which is making sure that they're making the correct decision. Now, I'm sure many hardcore closers will hear that and go, "Nah, you're wrong. Fucking look at that beard, you can barely grow one. What the fuck do you know?" And I'd say fine. But if you want to do sales ethically, not feel like an icky salesman, and have an abnormally high close rate, it is merely aiding the decision process, not shoving your dick down their throat and getting a no or getting a "this ain't right for me." As long as that is correct, that's an achievement. That's a win.
I agree, absolutely. That's a successful call. Absolutely. I mean, I think also there's a misunderstanding between marketing and sales there. They are not the same thing, but I see them as being on a spectrum as opposed to
just
left
like you
and
are.
right. Just like I am, yeah. Different kind of spectrum. But also, I think there are elements of selling which appear in your marketing. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast how I frame the calls to me before they make the call. So, say in a LinkedIn post or a website or in an email, I frame that marketing element, that marketing piece, which is to get an inquiry. I frame it in terms of sales. So no one coming into the process coming after that is going to get any surprises because I've already told them. So in that respect, the sales process starts with the marketing process. I think a lot of people don't understand that. And in fact, to the point where you get some businesses, they are so large, sales and marketing, they're two separate departments and they fucking hate each other. And I get why. I know why it happens.
They really hate each other.
And it's entirely logical and understandable. But it's detrimental to the business. And, when we go into a firm, one of the hard rules is those two things either have to come together as a department or they have to talk to each other. So if we go and do a sales presentations, we want to talk to the marketing people too. Otherwise, we don't do it.
Yeah, it's sales and marketing.
It is
together.
Yeah. And they run into
not
one
separate.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
I think it's more important because marketing, let's do some very simple definitions here. Let's say marketing is getting the inquiry, and let's say sales is turning the inquiry into money. Okay, it's more complex than that, but that's simple enough. That's good enough for what we're talking about now. Marketing,
it's a nice delineation.
Marketing, as in getting inquiries, is really easy. There's loads of different ways of doing it. I mean, there's at least half a dozen major social media platforms just for starters, and then you've got the paid advertising on those platforms as well, and then you've got other paid advertising such as Google AdWords and Google what they call them, not space ads, display ads. They've got display ads. Then you've got Bing, you've got DoubleClick, you've got the other one, that Taboola, that really icky fucking nasty one that appears in all the tabloids. And that's just online. But then you've got offline, and then you've got there's a whole way. There's just an infinite number of ways of getting leads. So we wouldn't spend a lot of our time teaching all of those in detail. What we would do is we would take each marketing tactic individually with a client. Okay, we wouldn't teach them en masse, except in the most superficial way, because it's a mammoth task. Qualification is easy. It's answering 3 questions. Can I help you? Do I want to help you? Can you pay me? I mean, that can be very simple. That can be, you can answer that question you can answer those 3 questions in a couple of sentences in an email or 5 minutes on the phone in the triage call. The last one, the selling bit, is where all the difficulty comes and where you make the money. There's no point. I mean, you can do all this wonderful marketing, all this wonderful triaging. If you then can't take that qualified lead and take them from being, okay, I'm interested to, here's your money. I don't care how good your fucking marketing is or how many leads you get. Your ROI is going to be 0. Whereas I could have a really poor marketing system, maybe turning over 1 or 2 leads a week. But if I can convert them at 75%, I can still make a damn good living if my sales process is robust. So sales is much more important than marketing. And as we said right at the beginning, nothing happens until you sell something. Nobody makes any money until you sell something.
Business cannot occur until a sale has happened.
No, well, there is no business. It's just wishful thinking, isn't it? Oh, I get fucking this.
Exactly. There's no exchange.
This gets my fucking goat. If I had a goat in my garden, this would be stealing my goat. Really getting it. All right. People who call prospect clients. I was speaking to a client the other day, and they ghosted me. And I say, well, hang on a minute. What, they paid you? And they go, no, they haven't paid me. Well, they're not a fucking client then, are they? Moron.
No.
They're not a client until they're paid. And I don't mean they've agreed to pay you. I mean, you've got cold, hard, fucking settled funds, cash, in the bank that you can take to Tesco and use as food or beer tokens. That's the client. They're not a client until they're paid. Even if someone says, yeah, let's do this, sign the contract, they're not a client until they've paid you. That's why we charge up front for things.
I think people do it because it allows them to think they have I think it's because it allows them to think they have a business.
Yeah. But isn't that steeped in ignorance, though? They don't understand what a business really is. I don't think they sit there and... I don't know. I mean, they could do, and you could be right. It's one of those things that's beyond my ability to fathom why they do it.
Yeah, because for you it's so cut and dry, black and white. But people can be more complex than that. And I think they can understand on a basic, boil it down to definition basis. But their existences can be so painful. They lie to themselves and say, oh, I've got a client.
Yeah.
When it's just a prospect that they're having a never-ending back and forth with, and inevitably getting drawn into free consultations, giving advice here and there because the work is there.